They be selling over dinner, but I know I'm way too loud and I'm way too dope to let my pay go down till I end up broke. I gotta say this now so you won't forget. You'll never get in my head till you open it. Here, I'll give you one crack. If it works, you keep it. But then it's only blood and really none of my secrets. And I love it, trust them high gunning. From tech to my government jets, I fly summit. Next on my schedule, Tesla might plummet. So get the right person to get me the right budget. I teleport, don't do trains, I will ride planes, but only cause I can't get paid in hyperspace. I'm just one guy, I almost died for love. Already said too much, so I should probably shut up. But I don't know what you're looking for, mind and soul, gotta pick it up slowly. I don't know what you're looking for now. When you're talking to yourself, you never gotta be lonely. I don't know what you're looking for, why's my soul trying to get a new body? I don't know what you're looking for, yeah. When you're talking to yourself, you never gotta be lonely, yeah. Same maniac, same maniac. And now I've run into a problem, and the problem in itself is everybody's got them, and nobody wanna help to get you to the bottom of it, so there's never really any way to stop them. But I think I found a way in outer space, go through the clouds first, get them fuckers out the way. Then when we pass this tier, we'll hit the atmosphere. I start laughing, there's nothing that you have to fear. Come on! I don't know what you're looking for, mind and soul, gotta pick it up slowly. I don't know what you're looking for now. When you're talking to yourself, you never gotta be lonely. And I don't know what you're looking for, why's my soul trying to get a new body? I don't know what you're looking for, yeah. When you're talking to yourself, you never gotta be lonely, yeah. Same maniac, same maniac, same maniac. Well, I guess that's the price I pay. Made a difference, but I had to give my life away. I tried to change the world, I wound up making it worse. Maybe the universe is only a blessing at first, till you peel it back, showing that it's dressed as a curse. Once you figure out the rules, you can bend and divert them into whatever you please, but you're ending up hurt. People only talking numbers for whatever you're worth, but you can't put a price on a god. I am meant to spend my life on the job. If you like it or not, I'll be giving it a whole new meaning. On my shoulder blades where the world stays leaning. I can never age if my light stays gleaming, and I can never say that my girl stays dreaming. I'm making it real and I ain't making it up. And now I said too much and I should probably shut up. Cause I don't know what you're looking for, mind and soul, gotta pick it up slowly. I don't know what you're looking for, yeah. When you're talking to yourself, you never gotta be lonely. And I don't know what you're looking for, why's my soul trying to get a new body? I don't know what you're looking for, yeah. When you're talking to yourself, you never gotta be lonely, yeah. Same maniac, same maniac, same maniac, same maniac.
Ain't nobody stopping. Ain't nobody stopping.
And welcome to a special Saturday night podcast. How are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm good. I'm doing as best as I can. It's been a while since we podcasted. It's good to see everybody. How's everyone in the chat doing tonight?
Yeah, we've been under the weather, but we're feeling strong enough to get this message out tonight. And it's a different one. So people that are familiar with our content, this is not something that we normally do, but we are actually going to be doing some geopolitical strategy tonight. And we want to share this idea with the whole world, because we see two paths coming up right now, and one looks horrible and one has the possibility of actually bringing prosperity and freedom. And we actually want to show people that we're at this cusp, we're at this turning road right now where borders are going to begin to fall, and that the way they go down is going to make a big difference. And so we want to talk about what's taking place with Trump and this Canada becoming a 51st state. Have you heard about this, brother?
Yeah, well, quick housekeeping. Make sure you're subscribed to the Rumble channel. It's down below, the Limitless channel on Rumble. We'll be doing another Rise and Grind again tomorrow morning. One sec. And we'll be discussing this more in detail, but we've been covering it for quite a few weeks since Trump just threw out that due to the fact that Canada is gouging the United States of America so bad that they need to become the 51st state so that they're not dependent anymore on the American handouts. And apparently, Canada's been ripping the United States of America off for many years, is what Trump's saying.
Yeah, so we come at this whole topic uniquely suited for it because we actually represent the two countries quite well here. I'm from central Wisconsin and you are from
Toronto,
Canada.
Ontario, Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got both nations represented right here. And so what we want to have is a conversation today about a possible merger of these two countries and what that would look like and what the benefits of it would be and all that type of stuff. So we know that the New World Order is actually working towards a one world government. And we currently have, if you Google it, 196 different countries, if you include the Vatican and the state of Palestine. So there's 196 borders that have to fall in order for this to become a one world government. And it's got to start somewhere. And it looks like they're actually starting with the US-Canada border. And we want to talk about that. We want to get people clued into, do we want these borders or would we rather see these borders gone? Now, we do know that the New World Order is trying to take control of the whole world. And at the same time, they want to implement their one world currency. We're at a technology point where people are sort of getting ready for the transition from paper fiat currency to just digital dollars. They've been digital for a long time, but now they want to actually like biotag them to you and have a blockchain and all that kind of stuff. So there's a whole bunch of things that come into play when you talk about mergers of countries, when they have two different currencies. And a lot of people are going to be super nervous about this. We haven't had a major border change in the world since I believe it was around 1990 when East Germany, the wall came down, and then there was the Soviet Union sort of did a breakup, a redistribution. Eastern Europe changed a little bit.
That
was really the last major changes that any of us have seen in our lifetime regarding border changes. And so most people are just really familiar with what they've experienced their whole life. And they really can't comprehend what it would be like for a border to go down between two countries, right?
And so, I can give a quick backstory. As far back as I can remember, the first big, freedom movement was when the Berlin Wall was knocked down when I was a kid. I don't know if that was when I was 4 or 5, the mid 80s. And it was this celebration of freedom and the tearing down of, was it Eastern and Western Berlin? Right, where they brought Germany back together as a country, and supposedly there were family members and loved ones and on either side of the wall that couldn't see each other, and then there was was it called the dissolution of the USSR, and that was a major one where countries like the Goldsmith, Estonia, and many other countries that were part of the Soviet Union, sort of like the way that the United States of America is. They then began becoming their own countries, right? And so what we have here now is a Canadian and an American discussion. This is the modern day dissolution of borders. I want people to know that I've never been someone who believes in borders. I don't think that we have the right. If someone could show me a deed from the Creator that says that the United States of America are theirs and that they have the right to then sell it off, I will always believe that no one owns the land. Right now, unfortunately, we find ourselves in a situation where you actually have to purchase property, and then you can put up a fence around your property. And if you pay for it, I guess the sad thing is that the money generally goes to people that are corrupt and crooked, but everybody will be weighed and balanced and judged for everything that they do. And this is how we own land. So what we have now, I'll get right to the point and end this long rant, is we have two countries that are appearing to start to spar off, neighbors, brothers, where, you know, the brotherly love, the Canadian national anthem is representing the United States of America, saying that they're the brothers of, defenders of. And what we have here is the two countries being positioned to make the public on both sides of this imaginary border suffer. So you've got posturing taking place where Trump is saying that we're tired of supporting you, right? It's time you just become a state. And then you have Canadians being, they're buying hats and t-shirts and stuff. And the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, is literally saying that this is going to be very painful on the public. He's outright saying it. We're going to be going through this tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central over on the Rumble channel, description in the link in the description box, the Limitless channel on Rumble. We can hear their words. And Trump isn't saying that it was going to be tough on the American people. He's lying. Castro literally is telling the people that this is going to be very painful because they're going to start to enact war strategies. So they're going to start to cut off things that are flowing from the north into the United States of America. Trump is saying, we don't need you. We can cut our own trees down, build our own cars. We're tired of basically taking care of you. And so what we have are these two countries that are literally been driven into this position through a fake, demic that they created and controlled, and nothing was real. They've destroyed the economies. Canada is in some of the worst shape that you could ever imagine. The taxes there are unbelievable. They're like nowhere else in the realm. I kid you not. You lose 20% of your paycheck on payday, and then you lose 20% of every single thing you buy. Everything. And the prices are very expensive there. Now, you can go into a hospital and get stitches or mend a broken bone and see doctors for free. That is true. But the waiting lists are horrible, and the care itself is nowhere near to the care that is here in the United States of America. So to end this rant off with what I feel is truly the situation is that this is heading towards absolute death, chaos, destruction. And the biggest fear that I hear is Canadians saying, we don't want to lose our identity as Canadians. No one is saying that you will not be called Canadians. No one can ever take that away from a Canadian. It's just going to become a part of the United States. And listen, everybody, I've been saying this for years. We're all in America. This is North America, as far as I can tell. And people should start to understand that the sooner we accept this and demand that our countries do this merger in the most peaceful way as possible, the better it's going to be for us.
Yeah, so we've got some ideas. We have some actual real strategies where we've filtered this down to just a simple binary choice. Because if it gets too complicated, people aren't just going to be able to comprehend what it takes to be able to do what we're talking about. So we're going to be outlining that there are two paths ahead, and they both lead to the same place, but one is really painful, and the other one might actually be prosperous and give you a small dose of freedom for a little bit. We want to make this message palatable to everybody in the world. Like Ron is actually literally trying to convince his father, his brothers, his friends that he grew up with. He's a Canadian. So the people that he understands, what we're going to try to do right now is convince you the advantages of actually wanting to become a 51st state. And we're going to give you the rationale of why this is the better path. So there's two paths. There's the tariff route. So right now we'll be bringing up some headlines, going through some tabs. Trump is really pushing this tariff thing, and April 1st is being set as a key day for these tariffs. So what this is, we'll cover tariffs. Tariffs are the absolute worst thing for an economy. So supposedly Trump's supposed to be coming in to bring down the cost of living and that for the American people. The absolute worst idea you could possibly have is to bring in a tariff, because that is just a government tax where that money goes to the government and it doesn't benefit the people at all. It just makes the cost of goods more expensive. And so what will happen is, it's because Canada is such a big producer of our lumber and our steel goods, we as construction workers, what we'll see is as soon as these tariffs go into place, we'll see the construction industry grind to a halt. And then what they'll do is they'll start implementing, the U.S. will start putting in more of their own mills, more of their own steel manufacturing. And what it'll do is it'll cut off the Canadians from having a buyer of their goods, right? We're next door neighbors. It's easy to ship it right back and forth between each other. But the United States actually has the population and the gross domestic capital to be able to just inflict its will upon Canada in this situation. So it's going to be bad for both the people in the United States and the people in Canada until people start crying to the point where they're willing to submit and sort of bend the knee to the U.S. government. And so that route's going to be absolutely filled with hatred. There's going to be proud Canadians that are going to want to band up in militias, and they're going to see this as a dictatorial takeover by Donald Trump, and that it's cruel, it's inflicting all this pain and punishment on the Canadian people. And so when the Canadian government actually wants to submit, and the U.S. troops will actually have to come in and defend Canada's capital against what's going to be the militia of Canada coming against them. So this tariff route is the route that's absolutely filled with violence and hatred and resentment.
So,
There's another, go ahead.
just to quickly interject. So this is all by design. So they're actually fomenting and using the Hegelian dialectic problem reaction solution to make the people beg for the merger. But what they first need to do is terrorize both countries. I want people to understand that that plan is to actually cause chaos and war, right? That is, then they offer the solution. What we're offering tonight is the idea of offering them the peaceful transition and solution today without having to go to this, Jason's point of having these militias.
Yeah, so if you think about statehood, the United States has like Puerto Rico, which is considered a U.S. territory. Now they're mismanaged and their infrastructure sucks, and so most U.S. State citizens think of Puerto Rico as a liability where they don't really want it to be a state and have all the benefits. Canada's a completely different thing than Puerto Rico. Canada is like the 16th largest economy in the world. It's the second by landmass size. It's full of natural resources. And the people are hard working, honest people, and we all speak the same language. We are so much more like each other than people can possibly imagine. A U.S. gamer and a Canadian gamer, they game all day together with each other, and there's really no difference between the people. The only thing that's different is that our money's worth a little bit more than the Canadian money. Like it's like 1.3 is the exchange rate, and we're going to be talking about exchange rates and all that kind of stuff, because what we're talking about is I would welcome Canada as a 51st state, and what that would do is that would make their money automatically that much more valuable, right? All of a sudden, if the Canadian dollar just went to the American dollar, boom, all of a sudden they don't have the disparity that they've had their whole lives where everything in America was more expensive. Plus, when a border goes down, now all of a sudden you can just freely go and trade with all these other states. You don't have these arbitrary walls that now, have to go through customs and have to have these different import taxes and now tariffs attached to them, right?
Yeah, well, and we also see the merger would actually create the most powerful nation, uncontested in the realm. And what people need to see is what they'll do is, so yes, absolutely. People are pointing out in the chat, healthcare in Canada is not free. It's the most expensive healthcare you could ever imagine. If you make $1,000, you barely get 675 of that. The rest of that money goes to the government already to pay for things like healthcare, right? So what we see here with this merger would also be a merger of this health system. It would be a blanket tax that would probably be just a little bit higher than what Canadians are paying. a little bit lower, a lot lower what Canadians are paying, and a little bit higher than what United States of Americans are paying now. And they would adopt the healthcare system across the board. Now, one thing to point out is they are moving to a borderless one world government. This is the plan. This is the agenda, Agenda 2030. They have it broken up into 10 regions, which is also outlined and dictated in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. None of what we're telling you isn't going to happen. It is. The question I ask the audience, and that I ask you to ask your loved ones, is at what length are you willing to go to get this? Are you willing to die and have all of your family members die and starve because you're a proud Canadian or a proud American? Instead of seeing the possibilities of here, if we take the power back and we are the ones that are driving the deal and setting the prices, we are the ones that are going to benefit from it, the workers. So not only that, Jason, but Canada is just, there's only what, like 45, maybe 50 million people in it max?
41 is what Google was saying today.
Sure, there might be more unaccounted for, but roughly that. And the majority of those people all live along the United States of American border. Now, I myself know because I grew up going back and forth, playing hockey in Buffalo, being a Buffalo Bills fan. Stuff like not being able to have an NFL team in my city of Toronto was something that bothered me. Right? It was because we were Canadian and the money doesn't work because it's such a less money. Now, the other thing I want to point out, Jason, before I throw it back to you, is this merger, these borders being dropped have already started in the EU. They've done away with that. The euro dollar, if I'm not correct, I don't know the exact exchange rate, is actually worth more than the American dollar, which absolutely would change if Canada merged with the United States of America. Our currency would be well above that, as well as the shekel being above what the American dollar is. This whole idea that people are clinging on to pride. Listen, no government is good. They're all taking from us. They're all illegal. They're all criminals. But we, the people, are the ones with the power. And if we sit back and allow this to continue without actually putting up a fight where we want the things to happen peacefully, we're all going to lose here.
Yeah, absolutely. So these exchange rates and how that all came into place, it's horrific. We're going to be going through some tabs, everybody. It's one of the first things that really sort of set me off when I got on my truther path. I saw loose change in 2005, and not long after that, I learned that the Fed was a private organization and that our money is fiat, and that they just make up money out of thin air and give it to themselves and then have people pay interest on it, right? Mm-hmm. This absolutely just cheesed me off beyond belief. It still does. Now, they go beyond that, and what they do is they set floating point ever since the Bretton Woods thing. We'll go through how money was tied to something legitimate. It was tied to gold, but that went away in, I think it was 1971. We'll be going through these details, and now these different valuations, the fact that the Canadian dollar is worth less than the US dollar is simply set by central banks for their own purposes, to be able to control the flow of goods from nation to nation. And so we're at this time in technology where, do you remember we were watching that video, Berwick, who believes that we're in a virtual reality, a 3D video game. He was talking about how when TikTok went down, how a bunch of people jumped on this other platform, and now all of a sudden we're connected with people from China. And now all of a sudden there was this exchange of ideas back and forth. And what the Americans were finding out is that consumer goods for the Chinese were way, way cheaper. And people are feeling ripped off, that we, the free people, have this super expensive life where we really don't even enjoy the freedoms that people in communist regimes are enjoying right now. So
again, just to interject there, a lot of that was obviously, psyops that were created to indoctrinate the public. The people that were reporting on that was the red note. So while TikTok was down, people were finding that the Chinese people were able to communicate, which is a giant firewall between the countries. We don't have connections with the Asian countries. on Facebook, on Google, they're firewalled off. But for some weird reason, people were saying that Red Note was allowing them to speak to these Chinese people, and they were showing the Americans that their grocery store, their prices on everything were down. And all that was actually leading towards was communism being something that's beneficial. And again, this debate over communism and this and that, it could rage on for eternity, right? As long as you have good leaders that care and take care of the people, always having communities work together is going to make things much stronger. And that's really what we're trying to say.
Yeah. So what we're having now is everybody that can speak the same language, at least to some extent, has the ability to connect together in the world and to be able to relate their situation. And so we're getting to a point now where having these different valued currencies is really becoming ridiculous, where why should the Canadian dollar be any different value than the US dollar versus the Mexican peso or any other currency? Because people work for a living, and when you expend your work, you should be able to pay for the basics like food and shelter, and you should be able to have transportation and clothes and these basic necessities. And so there should be a fairness regarding everybody's currency, right? It shouldn't have different values in different places. It's really absurd, just as absurd as the borders are. And all of this has done is created these oligarchies, these ruling class elites, that the people that control the borders, that they let the goods in and through, and they have taxation on this, and this is banned, and you can do this here and there. What that does is it sets up privileged relationships where certain people get to prosper and other people suffer.
So, basically talking about that. So if we roll back the clock 50 years from today, back into the past, someone that sold radios, right? Just you go to a store, you work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you sell radios, was able to have a full 3-bedroom house, eat well, take 2 months off a year on vacation, have 2 vehicles, and raise a family that went to college on one job, where somebody just simply sold radios or shoes. So what they've done through this slippery slope to totalitarianism, tyrannical takeover of the whole entire realm, is that through fear and propaganda and through psychological operations and different types of mind games that they played through Edmund Bernays and many other characters who they paved the way with controlling the population, has led people into these places now where everyone's depressed. It's almost impossible to have your own place, to have a family, and it is what destroys the family. Now, if you were able to have one man go to work and pay all the bills and eat and have vacation and not be stressed out, families wouldn't be torn apart the way that they are. So everything falls apart, and they've done all this by design, and they're leading towards, again, what we're saying is a borderless, one world order dictator. This is where they are going to go. Now, at what casualty level does the population want to deal with? At what point do the people actually take the power back and say, okay, we'll set this up, but we'll actually control it? Taking the power back from these Davos, these WEF members, these Donald Trump and Justin Castro's, because Jason just said what it's done is it's allowed them to pump the nations with fentanyl through fake proxy wars that they set up in places like Afghanistan and Vietnam. And then they've got the entire population suffering because they're in pain, can't find work. When they do, they're overworked. Nobody has time for anything anymore. And then they're getting a constant barrage of psychological mind control that's pushing them in really bad directions. So we only see one way possible here moving forward. And that is to actually take the power back, to say, yes, let's take the border down, and let's do it before we start these tariff wars where each country is about to suffer, and all the employees and workers, people that are balling up their fists saying, I'm a proud Canadian and Canada's not for sale, you are about to starve. There's a good chance that you're going to starve to death unless you have a lake behind you where you can fish from, or where you, and what are they doing in Canada, Jason? Did you know that by next September, they're taking all of the firearms away from the citizens? If you do a little research on what Mao did or any of these other communist takeovers, or I could go on and on and on of the characters, once you're disarmed, the countries are destroyed and murdered. So I see a huge problem going on, and I'm glad we're raising the flags tonight.
Yeah, I really want to throw a plea out to our Canadian brothers that we want you to join the United States and be the 51st state. And I think it would be absolutely great for all of us. And we're going to talk about the reasons why we think that would be a great thing. This is the best thing that we could do in the situation that we're in. It's a bad situation. Right now, Trudeau is saying that he's on his way out. Is Pierre Poilievre, is he the better answer? Well, we think we actually have a better solution than Poilievre. And this type of change could actually spark something where now we have the power of the internet and social media, where a mind virus. So it's just an idea that sparks a revolution. And so we're coming up on 250 years that the United States will have been a country in 2026. It's not that far away. And, Canada's considerably younger than the United States. So we're talking about like some of the youngest countries in the world right now that they need a big change in government. Canada's government's rotten. The United States government's rotten. And it's something like the absorption of Canada into the United States that could be a peaceful transfer, right? This could actually be something that...
the new gold rush, right? The gold rush of the 2020s.
Absolutely. What do you say we get into some tabs?
Let's go.
So we want to talk, everybody, about these 10 world powers that actually get talked about in the Bible. So I think this came from your Rise and Grind last weekend. Is that right? Yeah. Yes. So let's go ahead and click play on this and check this out here.
Fortunately, the book of Revelation explains a lot of its imagery. Revelation chapter 17
and the graphics be a little better, I hope.
Describes a system of world government where a woman rides a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Apparently, the world will be divided up at some future point into 10 kingdoms. The truly astonishing part is that this division is happening now. In September 1973, the Club of Rome issued a report entitled Regionalized and Adaptive Model of the Global World System. It proposed dividing the world into 10 kingdoms. Yes, it actually used the phrase 10 kingdoms. While the boundaries of these 10 kingdoms are subject to change, it is their proposal that is the point. Since that proposal in 1973, the world is being divided into 10 kingdoms. It started with the European Union. It is continuing with the African Union. It is now here with the North American Union, or NAU. Our elected political leaders in North America deny the existence of the NAU, calling it a conspiracy theory. They do so while the Queen's representative in my province of Manitoba lays out its infrastructure.
All right. So we're talking about something that, yes, is biblical. And I want to bring up these charts. The graphics are pretty bad right here, but we've got some other ones to go through. So this was their 1974 alignment of 10 kingdoms. And, somebody brought up Mexico, I saw in the chat earlier, and you're going to see that some of these 10 kingdoms maps put Mexico with the United States, and some of them don't. Now, this is an original one where it's just the US and Canada together. This one doesn't have Greenland. Most of these maps actually have Greenland with this. So what have we been hearing about? Greenland, Canada. And so then here we have we have Mexico, Central America, South America all together. And this one's sort of hard to see. So this one's a little bit more clear, and it's called the Club of Rome. I can't quite show this, but it's Club of Rome up here, regionalized adaptive model for the global world system. It's not a globe. But here, once again, you can see the United States and Canada are together, then Mexico, Central America, South America all together. You have Western Europe and then Eastern Europe joining back up with the Soviet Union. You've got Northern Africa and the Middle East together in a group. You've got India and Indonesia together, China alone, Japan alone, and they have Australia with South Africa, with the rest of Africa like this. So most of the maps that we've seen look pretty similar to this, but there's actually a whole bunch of variations. If you go to you go to just United Nations world divided into 10 regions, or just world divided into 10 regions, you're going to see a bunch of different options. And you'll see here that like some of these, you have Canada, United States, and Mexico still together, and then Central America and South America like this. So I want to say that, I mean, I love our Canadian brothers. I want to see them be a 51st state. I would like to be able to freely travel to Canada. I want them to be able to freely travel here. I don't want any border here, right?
Yeah, so a lot of people are in the chat, and they're, again, this is very new, it's very fresh. They're kind of wondering, because Canada's, huge. It's one of the largest land masses in the realm by far. So there are different provinces in Canada. These would become basically like counties within a single state, because unfortunately Canada just doesn't have the population where they would actually have to break it up into 51, 52, 53, 54, 55 states. I see the provinces staying as what would be counties with their own municipalities, their own governments, their own, which I can't stand, which I would like to do away with myself and have everything be online with blockchain technology where it's all open sourced. So there would be 10 provinces within the state of Canada. It wouldn't change. Within those provinces, you would have capitals the same way that it is. Nothing would change, except that the currency would then become the same as the United States. And like I said, we would adopt a merger of different systems within the healthcare. And again, we're just starting to touch on this as to what we see the best possible way is.
Yeah, there would be no reason to change any of the municipal governments whatsoever. Everything could stay completely intact. What would happen is you would take the government and you would just turn it into a state government. And so you would be able to get rid of a redundant, you just, like every other state has, they have their state capital. Canada would have their state capital, and then all the other municipalities. Nothing like that would have to change whatsoever. The money would just all be American dollars, and the border would disappear, where all of a sudden, if somebody from Canada wanted to move someplace warmer, they could, and they could move into the United States. And if they wanted, that state allows you to buy guns. You could buy guns. You could do everything that somebody in the States does, right? Yeah.
Well, and reciprocally, when you think about these things, there are a lot of Americans that they absolutely love. Like where my cottage was in Bancroft, the majority of the people that were there in the summertime were actually from Boston. Were from the United States. They weren't even Canadian. So you would see people migrate throughout all of North America. Like this is the gold rush that we've been waiting for. Being able to be a drywaller and move to Las Vegas or Arizona, for someone in Arizona that wants to have the cottage life. they'd be able to move to Northern Ontario. And we're not even talking about opening up the mountains in British Columbia and the plains of Saskatchewan and Manitoba and the absolute gold rush of this. I am just out of my mind shocked that this isn't being blasted across all the social medias. And again, we know, again, their plan is to do it through suffering and pain. They want people to starve to death, and then that those that make it will come begging upon their knees for this merger. And we're trying to force the hand through the morphic resonance. That's why we're doing this podcast tonight, to put this out into the atmosphere of the realm. And you're going to see this change coming pretty quickly.
Yeah, so there's just two different paths to take. There's the one, no, the United States is not going to take us over. We are independent. We are proud, and you can put your foot down and you can fight and you can resist, and it's going to be really bad and tough for all of us, not just you. Or there's this path of embracing it, and then so in the rush, like Ronnie was talking about, in the gold rush, where now all of a sudden the people that are cooped up in Canada that have always dreamt of being able to just go someplace warmer, they could. And so the people that have saved a lifetime and have money stored up could actually start building in Texas. And so that would boom our economy, and then we'd be buying that cheap lumber from Canada. And the whole thing is a feeding cycle that would be very positive. And so in that interim, where all of this is taking place, all the questions of how is the healthcare going to work? How is my pension going to transfer? All of these big questions like this is going to bring up the opportunity for us to really start talking about what is it that we want. So the people in Canada that have had the socialized medicine, they're going to have their say as to whether or not they think this is a good route to go. We should have all these high taxes, or maybe there's a compromise between the two that could be reached. And so all of this is going to require votes, and it's going to require people's input. And through this whole process, we could actually turn over the government from the political career people that they come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden these are the people that are supposed to make the decisions for you. What we need are the actual people that are on the ground and know and understand how things work, to be a part of this process. And we could turn over the government during a changeover like this and actually implement the types of things that we, the people, would prefer. And all it would take is for a friendly border to drop, and for people to start intermingling and start talking about things. And we could really initiate a type of change that, if this were to happen between the United States and Canada, a friendly merger where it becomes a state, we can talk about Mexico as far as what that would involve. If something like this were to happen here, we know that it would spread around the world, that each one of these countries here. So if everything's going to start merging together, and it's supposed to come to one world government, see, this right here isn't 10 nations anymore. This is actually just 5. So this is like a step past what we were showing. And so this shows the United States, Canada, Greenland, Western Europe, along with like Turkey and Greece in this area, Australia, New Zealand. So basically most of your English speaking people. It shows Mexico being separate, going with South America. This is your Spanish speaking people. Africa coming together as a whole. And then the Middle East and South Asia over here, and Russia. So this right here is when the 10 would supposedly come down to 5. And then these 5 are supposed to vie for control until there's just one left. But what I want to point out is, in every one of these scenarios, right, the United States and Canada are teamed up. They are put together. And I feel like we should embrace this and do this as partners, as opposed to let it turn into some bitter resentment.
Yeah. And death. Poor. People are going to starve to death. Right. And they're already, through the division, they're already pitting against the people against each other. This is absolutely what they're already doing that. It's crazy what they're already doing. You know, if people are paying attention to the media, if you're watching it, the language is starting to become really, really bad. Have you been hearing it, Jay? I know everybody in the chat. I know that they've been selling in Ontario hats that say Canada's not for sale. And the rhetoric is just starting to get like, so they're pitting the Canadians against the Americans when really we're all one. Like I said, I've grown up going back and forth across the border, and the only thing that changes is accents. And I can tell you there's just as many accents that change in Canada alone than there are in the United States too.
So when I heard Trump bring up Canada being a 51st state more than once, I started paying attention, and there was this talk of tariff, but tariffs is continuing to be a big talk. And so a tariff is a tax imposed by the government of a country or by a supranational union or imports or exports of goods. So it is a tax that just goes to the government. We do not benefit from this. And if you look into it, everybody, anybody that knows anything about economy, are tariffs good or bad? This is a goofy answer. Generally, yes, no, it's either good or bad. It goes on to say the reason is that they are considered to distort economic incentives and promote inefficiencies. In neoclassical economic theory and models, it can be shown that tariffs reduce economic welfare, that is, raise the cost of living, and don't necessarily create or protect jobs in the long run. So there's a long history of tariffs being like the worst thing that you can do for an economy. It's absolutely horrible. Why were tariffs a problem? They were enacted in part to appease domestic constituencies. That's what we're going through right now. But ultimately, they serve to hinder international economic cooperation and trade. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, high tariffs were a means not only of protecting infant industries, but of generating revenue for the federal government.
So what you have is, we were tuned in and just listening to the most insane things last night, dealing with these supposed January 6 people. So you have people going around saying all Trump is doing is taking the USA back to the way that it was prosperous, because back in the 1800s, tariffs were the way that the country was able to grow, by taxing other countries, right? But this isn't what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is the taxes being put on the American people themselves, right? It's not the Canadian people are going to be paying the American tariffs. That's not the way that this is going to work. It's going to be the hardworking American people that are buying the stuff that supposedly comes from Canada. It costs way more.
Mm-hmm. So this it's just being pumped. What's Trump's proposed tariff means for U.S. trade, and 5 charts, and tariffs. And yeah, I mean, they're saying April 1st is sort of a key date regarding these tariffs. And so what we wanted to do is get out ahead of this and start talking to people how, so in this modern age, the choice of going down these two paths, it's a mental one that we need to get into the minds of our Canadian friends and brothers and sisters, that your mind can go 2 directions on this whole thing. You can either see this where you become resentful and you want to fight against this, fight against Trump, fight against the United States, or you could see the benefit in actually trying to encourage this Canada becoming a 51st state. Now, the difference is with social media, everybody can go on their Facebook account, everybody can go on their Instagram, their Twitter, whatever it is that you're doing, and you can speak in favor of something as being a pro and positive thing. Mm-hmm. And so this type of thing can actually spread like a wildfire, and it can become part of the group consciousness, where all of a sudden it does get talked about, and the discussion does begin. And we could do this through a peaceful process if people were interested in it. There has to be that interest, right?
Yeah, I don't want tariffs. I don't want the Canadians versus the Americans. We're supposed to be brothers. We're supposed to do what the Bible says, to love the neighbor, right? We're not supposed to hate each other. All this divisive content and all the language and Edward Bernazian psyops that they're running on the people it's putrid to me. It's a stench. It's disgusting filth that I want to see power washed off. I think we should take a song break, Jason, and then round into the second half of your presentation, if that sounds good with you.
Let's do it.
Baby, you come down, baby, you come down. Streaming if I'm looking up, and baby, you come down, baby, you come down. I have an even better loving, baby, you come down, baby, you come down. Get your immortality, and baby, you come down, baby, you come down. Eating's what you're making me, and baby, you come down, baby, you come down. Streaming if I'm looking up, and baby, you come down, baby, you come down. I have an even better loving, baby, you come down, baby, you come down. Get your immortality, and baby, you come down, baby, you come down to eat it now. I am what he'll be drinking. I'm a spring cup to his lips, slip into my ellipses. I am for him swimming on the sweat, pressed on his tits, slip into my ellipses. I am what he'll be drinking. I'm a spring cup to his lips, slip into my ellipses. I am for him just swimming. I'm the sweat pressed on his tits, slip into my ellipses. Baby, you come down, baby, you come down. Streaming up and looking up, and baby, you come down, baby, you come down. I have an even better lover, baby, you come down, baby, you come down. Get your immortality, and baby, you come down, baby, you come down. I am what he'll be drinking. I'm a spring cup to his lips, slip into my ellipses. I am for him just swimming. I'm the sweat pressed on his tits, slip into my ellipses. I am what he'll be drinking. I'm a spring cup to his lips, slip into my ellipses. I am for him just swimming. I'm the sweat pressed on his tits, slip into my ellipses. I am what he'll be drinking. I'm a spring cup to his lips, slip into my ellipses. I am for him just swimming. I'm the sweat pressed on his tits, slip into my ellipses.
And we are back. And if you talk about monetary systems, it won't be long before you end up hearing about the Bretton Woods system at some point. Have you heard of this, brother?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so it was in place and it was a good thing, but they got rid of it, unfortunately. So you see important names here like United States, Canada, Western European countries, Australia. All right, we're familiar with those things. That's sort of what we're talking about right now. They had an agreement. There were 44 countries. This was after World War I that they did this. And so their agreement is that they had to be able to exchange dollars for gold. Right? So they had this 0.88867 gram fine gold per dollar. You had to be able to exchange your actual currency for gold. Then if you keep going here, so this is the creation of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and that's a bad name. That's a real bad name. We've got the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which is part of the World Bank Group. I mean, we could do a whole podcast about this World Bank Group. It's absolutely horrible. It's very, very evil. But what this all comes down to is on August 15th, 1971, the United States ended the convertibility of the US dollar to gold, effectively bringing the Bretton Woods system to an end and rendering the dollar a fiat currency. That means it has no real value. It's just an imaginary value that's applied to it. And then, so shortly thereafter, many fixed currencies, that's something that's tied to a real asset, became floating, free floating. So that's this floating point conversion, floating exchange rates. This is the type of stuff that's screwing Canada's and Canadians right now, making their money worth less than the US dollar. It's actually the Canadians' central bank that is inflicting that on their own people. And we're talking about how this needs to be done away with. We need to have even exchange, right? And this isn't part of becoming a one world currency in the New World Order. This is just a simple modern day thought process. Hey, how about an even fair exchange for everybody, right? Where
Yes.
a dollar is worth a dollar everywhere, right?
Yeah, because you had already said when you have these different disparities, what it does is it sets up those that can hoard and take over everything. It creates an imbalance in the structure.
Yeah, you can read all about it right here, and it's all tied to the World Bank, to the IMF, to all those different things. The Federal Reserve, all these types of things. So they were able to manipulate and create the Great Depression because of their ability to inflate and deflate the value of currencies. That's literally what gave them the power to be able to do that. And we know that they're going to try to do another one of those things again, another Great Depression, and we don't want it to happen.
No, we're trying to stop it.
Absolutely against that. So the World Bank, this is an absolute joke organization. This is what was created back at the Bretton Woods. Nobody really knows of it or heard of it. Their biggest loan is like $117 billion. Like the United States gives that away to Ukraine just like every other week, right? $117 billion is absolutely nothing. Yet this is supposed to be like the originator of the IMF and the developing countries, and this is supposed to be this leading influence in the world as far as banking is concerned, and it's absolutely horrific. This Jamaica Accords, this is when they finally said goodbye to Bretton Woods. We went on this floating point, and these people ended up having control of what the value of our money is, and that's got to end. If you look up who adjusts the exchange rate between countries, Google AI is going to tell you to maintain a desired exchange rate, the central bank, during a time of private sector net demand for the foreign currency, sells foreign currency from its reserves and buys back the domestic money. So this is the way they manipulate the value of the currencies. And this has got to end.
It's a rigged system, and it's benefiting the powerful elite oligarchy, and it's what they're using to create the tyrannical one world beast currency system, right? We're trying to say that if people can start to act a little bit better and a little bit faster and take the power back, oh yes, we want to merge. And actually, when we merge, we want to have a whole new system of voting and a whole new system. So just to go off on a quick side note, the only reason why we even have politicians is because back in the day, we used to have to send people that spoke for us on horseback many towns or even states or provinces away so that we could all have our voices heard. We can all do that from the comfort of our own living rooms now. We don't need these people, because what ends up happening is these people become lobbyists. And what happened in the past when these lobbyists didn't do what they were supposed to do, they got rolled in hot tar and feathered. They got hung. They got killed. They were put out of commission, and they were never able to do that to the public. Now we've just got a bunch of people that basically work for nothing but money and that are completely bought and sold. And we're in this horrible situation now because of the way that the central bank and the IMF and the Bretton Woods and all these types of systems, the way they've devalued currency. We're saying we want to take the power back.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at Canada, and let's sort of pick this apart. We've got you to help us here, having been Canadian. It's not as old. It's not as old as the United States. If we go down here, we've got its Confederation being listed as July 1st, 1867. And then we have a couple things pretty recent here. We have this Statute of Westminster, 1931. And this says that it sort of started putting a relationship between the dominions of the Crown in Canada. And then we have something called patriation. This is considered when Canadians got true sovereignty, they're saying.
Yeah, right.
But if you look up here, under government, they call it a federal parliamentary constitutional monarchy. And the monarch happens to be Charles III.
That's a problem.
All right, so we're talking about the advantages of Canada becoming a 51st state. What you could do is you could scratch the monarch off of here completely.
Throw the tea back into the water, into the bay, right?
Absolutely.
We don't want it anymore.
And because Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, he's junk and he's on his way out, but we know that Polyev is not a better answer. What we're talking about is that there could be a governor's election for Canada that would be completely different, where we actually have real candidates, not people that come from these political puppy farms where they pump out these candidates. Every single one is like the other, right?
So the first thing would have to be that nobody that was a young global initiate leader from, who is it, Klaus Schwab's association, none of these New World Order WEF members. The first thing that we need to do is to bar anybody that's had anything to do with the World Economic Forum in any way. They have to be taken out of a position of power right away. But see, I mean, this is the thing. If we were able to take the power back, we could actually come together, right, as a group of North Americans and come up with our own new rules. We could actually use this to take Trump out of power, and the Senate, the lifers like Nancy Pelosi and all of these people that have just been in the government just robbing the United States of America too. There's so much possibilities here.
Yeah, so we've got the United States getting close to 250 years old. I think I saw that Canada is like 157, maybe turning 158 this year. So both young countries, what we're talking about is just a little change up that would bring these two countries together and really make quite the superpower. Because if you take a look here under area, total area, there's 3,855,000 square miles, makes it the second largest country in the world.
That's just Canada. It's second to Russia, right?
Yeah. And so you got that. And then you've got population. So they're saying 41 million. And they're making this the 36th largest in population in the world. So it's really pretty similar to Texas, right? If you look at the GDP of Canada, they say it's 2.5 million, making it the 16th largest gross domestic product. And if you take a look at Texas, so if Texas were a country, it would be the 8th largest economy in the world, ahead of Canada and even Russia. In 22, Texas's gross domestic product was a total of 2.4 trillion. So the amount of people in Texas and the amount of gross domestic product, Canada and Texas are pretty similar, right?
So, yeah, but if people could just hold on a second, put a pause on what you just said. They forget the size of Canada. I know it's just huge. It's huge, right? But you would be saying that Canada would not only be an American state, it would be rivaling the top state in the United States of America, people.
Second best. California does have
I don't know if that's real. I don't know. I beg to differ. I think they're fudging some of the numbers there, like the speed of light here. I think they're making some of that up. Nothing comes close to Texas, in my opinion. But I really want to drill in here, pun intended, drill in. Canada would be rivaling one of the top states in the United States. So instead of it being a country that's broke, some people are about to starve. Listen, when this economic warfare starts, people, as soon as April, we need to get out of this, and we need to get out in front of this fast.
Yeah. So here's the things about Canada that make them a great candidate for the state. So their human development index is very high, and so these indexes right here actually show that as a people, they're efficient, good people with a high standard of living, and so they would actually make a great state partner. I would love to have them as part of the United States, so that we could freely travel back and forth and exchange, absolutely no problem. So the history here, a lot of people don't realize this, but because we're so isolated, we didn't grow up with any border changes, we didn't see any of this take place. But just back in 1750, this is the way the United States and Canada was. All right, so the blue right here is France controlled. This purple right here was turned over from Great Britain to France. So the purple is part of the blue. We've got this color out here is Great Britain. So here's your 13 colonies right here. And then this orange here is Spain. So where we're at right now was under the control of Spain, and just a little bit north of us, this was under the control of France. And all of this has changed hands so many times, right? Just since 1750. Right? And what we're saying is it's going to, again, everybody, the New World Order is going to do it one way or the other. We're just trying to encourage people that by accepting it and sort of rolling with it at first, that it would put us in a position where we could actually prosper from it, get a little bit of freedom for a little while, because we know what the New World Order intends to do. But there's even a chance that during this type of transition, that if people started to embrace it, that this whole idea of fairness and freedom and no borders could actually travel, and the New World Order could lose control. They are a limited group of people. Yes, they're all the Freemasons and Jesuits and Knights Templars, and they're probably the cops and the military and all these types of people. but still, there's a lot more of us than there are them. And if we all started talking about equal exchange, no borders, and things like this, and wanting fair elections and all that kind of stuff, if an idea like that caught on and spread, it could totally destabilize the New World Order. We know what's going to happen. The Bible has laid it out. The book of Revelations, Revelation 17:12, the 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. Well, who's the beast? It sure does look like it's Trump.
He's trying to fulfill that role. He's literally, so the question becomes self-fulfilling, and is that still fulfillment of prophecy? Well, what if the prophecy knew that Trump would come along and self-fulfill it? What if it knew that the people would do exactly what they're doing, that it is fulfillment of the prophecy? And that absolutely, so we can see here from the scriptures, the 10 nations, the beast that was and is now and is not. So that's referencing Rome, right? And you can see the symbolism right now with Elon Musk. Again, if you're not subscribed over on Rumble, I've lost my YouTube channel. They kicked me off. I'm grateful that they let me on here with Jason's channel. We're going to be covering this more in depth tomorrow. I'm going to be showing you characters like Elon Musk and all the world leaders, all the people that are working together. It's the Roman Empire brought back again. And the Roman Empire, they prided themselves on slavery and control. And this is the totalitarian system that they're moving in. It's not only America putting in a $500 million AI system, it's Europe too. We're going to be going through that link for link. Again, in the description box, you'll find a link to the Rumble, the Limitless channel, where you can watch the Rise and Grind podcast, where I'm going to go more in depth in this. It's very important that we get out ahead of this. Like Jason was saying, if we were able to actually turn the tables, what ends up happening is the fall of Rome could take place again, where, you know, they give a little and then the slaves actually rose up and were able to get freedom. So the project of the United States of America, it's an absolute, it was such a blessing. It's unheard of to think. So we know that it was Freemason formed, right? And we can argue whether or not Freemasons were good at one point, or were they always fallen angel oath servers. But what we see is there were these freedom rights actually put in place where a certain group of people, they have been able to thrive. And it's only been since they stopped honoring the Constitution over the last 30 years where we've seen the destruction and the downfall of this experiment. But what we're suggesting is an even larger experiment, right down to the flag. The flag can be redone. It's not just about Canada being incorporated. It's about creating a whole entire new region of the realm, the most powerful and prosperous. And what it would do, like Jason's saying, was it would inspire other parts of this realm here to do the same thing. We could actually take out the New World Order with this plan. It's amazing.
Yeah, in a peaceful way. So we're talking about a revolution. We want to inspire a revolution, but a peaceful one that people actually want to band together and work together as brothers and sisters in a fair and honest way. And so by leveling the playing field on the currencies, by opening up exchange, by dropping borders and allowing travel between these places, it could be good. It could be good, right? And we know the Bible's still going to go the way that it said, but by sort of beating the New World Order to the punch, they want to drop the borders with everybody hating each other and full of resentment.
Death,
we want to show
poverty, starvation, not just hating. They want people to suffer. They only want the people who survive. Basically, they're trying to enact the second Great Depression. That's where we're headed to it. It's coming.
Yeah, we want to encourage everybody to unite together in a positive and upbuilding way, and support each other. That's what needs to take place. And so we're excited about sharing this message with everybody, and it's not going away. I'm pretty sure that this tariff thing, it's going to be in place until somebody screams uncle that they can't take anymore. And unless if we have people that actually get behind this idea of let's do the merger, let's make this happen. And so what that is going to take is people's minds being convinced that this is the right way to go, and for them to go around convincing other people's minds that this is the right way to go. And then all of a sudden that influence will it'll come to the top. They track all of our social media and everything. And if people start clamoring about this and making noise about this and really promoting this, it all of a sudden will get into the group consciousness, and it can be something that could actually take place. I want President Trump to actually pick up the phone and say that, you know what, this is a much better strategy right here than this trying to harm and inflict the Canadians with a tariff. That's a bad idea. That is going to do nothing but harm both people. And that this idea of actually trying to come to the table collectively is a positive way to do it.
So we, the people, have the power. We have two choices ahead of us here. There's not a third, as far as I can tell or have seen. There's two choices. One, we allow them to continue on with the economic warfare where they start to tariff each other, Canada involved as well. Or we peacefully work together and take the power back and join and have the modern day gold rush where people can start to freely move around, where the borders drop, where prosperity comes back to everyone, old and young, rich and poor. It's not going to be certain people that are going to profit from this. Everyone will, as long as we take power over it. If we continue on the path that they have set out, it's going to be a very, very bad one. And I'm just hoping that people start to get this through the ether or, morphic resonance. So even if there's just one person that has a shift in consciousness, the paradigm shift is contagious, the 12 monkey effect. And what we're doing here tonight, again, was just taking a little bit of time to come on here and to share out into the Ethernet, to let people know that there is another solution here. We don't have to go to economic warfare to the point where, we have to have Canada versus the United States. This can be a peaceful transition of prosperity, a gold rush.
Listen, it's happened before, people. Just go to Wikipedia. Here's a list of national border changes, 1914 to present. And you scroll through here, and Africa has changed borders over and over and over since then. Lots of reshaping of countries over here. We're mostly unaffected by that. Asia has had some border changes, and not a whole bunch of significant things happened, but like Taiwan splitting off from China, things like that. Some things with Singapore and Malaysia. And then you get to Europe, right? So Europe, there was the wars, and so all these lines and stuff were redrawn after the wars. But we don't really know anybody that's gone through that. It's too long ago. Nobody's familiar with that. The only thing that people probably really can relate to is what started to take place in Germany when the wall went down, right? So
In Berlin.
Yeah, so when is that? That gets out here.
See how close my guess was.
1990, East Germany unites with West Germany on October 3rd.
Okay. I was 5 years off. I thought it was in the 80s. I remember it, but I guess I was 10.
Yeah, and then 91, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania split away from the Soviet Union. So we have people that have experienced these types of things in their lifetime. So they know what it's like to go through a border change. And we have those people to talk with and reflect on what it's like when all of a sudden there's a border change. Now you can exchange with these people, you can go to these places, but now you can't go to that place, right?
Which is horrible. I'm not for that anywhere. at any time. I've never been for that.
Yeah, North America, nothing too significant. Some things in the Caribbean that took place, but borders do change people, and it is coming up again. And I think that we really have an opportunity, especially with the Canada-U.S. border. It's the longest border in the world. We have the friendliest relationship between countries. We're the most alike as people in general. We speak the same language. We watch the same sports. We play the same video games. And
exactly, we're the same.
Very much the same people. And we just encourage people, don't let yourself get caught up in pride. Take this seriously and think about what it would mean to actually be able to join us, where all of a sudden you have free access to the United States and your money was now in US dollars. I think it could be beneficial for y'all, all of us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important that we look at all sides of the situation, and it's a tough topic. I'm sure that people that are tuning in are thinking, what are these guys talking about? Well, we're looking at all the possible angles here, and we can see a good solution and we can see a really bad one.
Yeah, so we wanted to get the conversation initiated, get it out into the collective, get people talking about it, and because the tariffs are on their way, and really something, we need to have a plan. We need to address this.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we just wanted to get out in front of this and get. So we know that they do what they want. They have selections, not elections, that they've controlled the powers that be have controlled, and they've got their agendas. They're young global WEF leaders. They've had their way. But what we're saying is, when we see a possibility of this game of risk, when we see an in or an opportunity for we the people to actually take back some of our power, we have to get behind it. And even if it's just Jason and I putting that out into the ether, into the morphic resonance of this reality, we're going to do it. And please leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. Maybe this is the first time that you heard this, but my last message here for everybody that's tuning in, and for the whole entire world, heaven and earth, all the angels in heaven and all the human beings that are here on earth. I don't want to be in a divisive fight between my neighbor. I don't want to go into this, I'm proud to be this or I'm proud to be that. I want to take an intelligent, peaceful approach to this situation, and I want all of our sons and daughters to be prosperous, for us to have the new gold rush. I don't want to fight. I don't want the Canada versus USA war. I want to have the state of Canada have a better hockey team than the state of Texas or what have you. I want to continue to have a competitive, healthy relationship. I don't want to go to war with my neighbors. And I hope that you on the other side of the screen are with me, and that we can actually start to have this movement cascading through the actual social media, that we take the power back away from these oligarchical, tyrannical New World Order agents that are pushing us towards these crazy totalitarian 2030 agendas where they want to track and trace everything we do. This merger, we create a new currency. Everything. And it's going to be backed by gold and productivity. It's not going to be on a digital blockchain ledger where every tax is collected and given to these really evil, wicked people. This is about having a righteous comeback of the most powerful nation that this realm has ever seen.
Absolutely. I just want to throw in here, I loved video games growing up. I had the Super Nintendo when it came out, but I also loved strategic board games, and Risk was one of my favorites. And I played so much of this. Even my first wife, she played it with me and our friends, and we would just go at it and at it and at it. And this, the United States and Canada here and Mexico, this was always my go-to, that I wanted to take North America, and I wanted to have Australia. If I got North America and Australia, there was usually a good chance that I could end up winning the game. It's dice are rolled, so you can't win them all. But having the North American and the Australia alliance right here, super powerful. I would love to see that again. But you see how close the risk board is to actually what the the 10 nation alliance is, or the, like this type of alliance. I'm pretty sure that when they created the game of Risk, they actually knew the way they were going to break things up. And yeah, the Middle East is the hardest thing to hold. It's true. And there's actually a whole bunch of like parabolic things that ring true if you were a gamer, anybody, and you did play a game like this. That's sort of what's taking place here at these end times right now. There's people that are realizing that we're in a stereographic virtual reality. It's like a 3D video game in a way, and so we've got just a certain paths that we can play this game out with, and we're encouraging this one where we do some strategic mergers that could benefit us all. So
yeah.
We hope this message gets out there, and we hope it's well received. If anybody wants to talk to us, leave us a message in the video here, or join us on Telegram at Reality Check Chat. We do comment with people there on the frequent. So is there anything else you want to mention, brother?
Yeah, if you check the description box below, you'll find a link to the Rise and Grind Morning Show podcast, where we talk about new music, new memes, and we also share breaking news and information. And I'm going to be going in depth. I'm going to show everybody the two sides and at the tariffs that they're about to start imposing on people, and how they're starting crazy agendas where, they're radicalizing the two nations against each other. We're better than this. This is 2025. And my last words is, let's come together as free people and actually take our power back from these tyrannical New World Order agents. Let's do it. Let's win it back. Let's have the new gold rush again, Jason. What do you say about that?
Absolutely. I wanna say howdy and hey, y'all.
It's a moment in time where we all cross the line. Tortured by mistakes that led me to these thoughts. 'Cause I wanna win. Dreaming isn't a sin. I'm on the other side, ready to risk it all for everything. You said my eyes weren't open. You said my mind was blind. At the edge of the fence.